welcome on Eye on Africa. I'm Clarisse Fortuné. Our top stories today. Hundreds of people left Gaza for the first time since the war began, mostly foreign nationals, but also dozens of wounded Palestinians. And in solidarity with the people of Gaza, Tunisia cancels the oldest cinema showcase, the Carthage Film Festival. And day 2 for King Charles and Queen Camilla's visit to Kenya. Some say his regrets about British brutal colonial past are not enough. For the first time in over 3 weeks, civilians have been able to leave Gaza, crossing the Rafah border with Egypt. Mostly foreign passport holders, but also dozens of injured Palestinians were taken to Egyptian hospitals for treatment. And yet, much more is needed, as Edouard Cousin reports from Cairo.
This Wednesday, for the first time since the start of the war, the Rafah border between Egypt and Gaza partially opened for a limited number of people. Mediation led by Qatar led to an agreement between Israel, Hamas and Egypt to allow 81 critically injured Palestinians into Egypt to receive treatment. Egyptian ambulances at the border transported these injured to a field hospital 15 kilometers from the border and to other hospitals deeper into Egypt. But UNICEF says more is needed.
81 is not enough. We are particularly, of course, concerned about children. We know there are thousands and thousands of children have been wounded in Gaza. We know that more than 3,500 children have been killed in Gaza. So we do hope that those children will get the emergency medical support they need right now. 81 is a good start, and let's hope that the border remains open for medical evacuations and that we can treat the children who need that treatment.
Many details about this deal to open the border are still unclear. We do know that aside the injured, also more than 300 foreign nationals stuck in Gaza were allowed to cross the border into Egypt. And more are expected to follow in the coming days. But how long the border will stay open exactly, and whether more injured Palestinians will be allowed into Egypt tomorrow and the days after, that we don't know.
And in solidarity with the Palestinian people, Tunisia's Ministry of Culture has cancelled the Carthage Film Festival, Africa's oldest cinema showcase. But for some of the artists, that cancellation raises questions about resistance through art and what culture brings to the Palestinian cause. Lilia Blaise and Hamdit Lili report.
After weeks of Israeli bombing in Gaza, music and songs for the Palestinian people come as a relief to many Tunisians in shock. They've been glued to their screens since the latest fighting between Israeli forces and Hamas erupted in October. All the profits from the concert will go towards humanitarian aid for the Palestinians, but for many, support isn't just financial.
For those who think it's a festive event, I tell them it's not the case. Art, like other mediums, allows one to send a message.
Attending these kinds of events is the bare minimum. At least we can help by celebrating their culture.
While this kind of charity is allowed, other cultural events like the annual Carthage Film Festival have been cancelled in a show of solidarity since the war broke out, a decision some directors do not understand.
We saw films here on South Africa during apartheid. We show all kinds of films defending causes, like for the Palestinian people. So it's very, very sad. It's a hasty decision.
He and film unions are asking the ministry to reverse this decision. Other artists who have links to Palestinians are also defending the role of culture in the face of war. This choreographer has long helped organize contemporary dance festivals in the West Bank.
I'm in touch with my Palestinian friends every day to know what's happening. We feel really helpless because we don't know what we can do. The only thing they tell me over again is, Noel, keep speaking about us, keep working, because you are lucky to be able to work.
Alongside cultural solidarity, organizations, banks, and other businesses are calling for donations to help the humanitarian effort in Gaza.
King Charles III, on the second day of his visit to Kenya, went to honor Africans who died for Britain in 2 world wars. The visit comes as a day after the monarch acknowledged there was no excuse for all the abuses committed during British rule of the East African country. Caroline Namboli has more.
another symbolic gesture for the royals on day 2 of their visit to Kenya. The monarch laid a wreath in honor of Kenyans who fought alongside the British in the 2 world wars and awarded medals to 4 veterans. The king also visited a creative hub in Nairobi and tried local street food. The pair also made a stop at an elephant orphanage where they petted a baby rhino. King Charles also attended a reception at the British High Commissioner's residence.
If I may say so, it's been such a joy to have this opportunity to meet really quite a lot of Kenyans during this visit. It has been fascinating to meet all these people, the entrepreneurs, the young entrepreneurs who are doing such remarkable things here, coming up with brilliant ideas, particularly in terms of how to cope with climate change and biodiversity loss.
Also on Wednesday, the king held a private meeting with families of some of Kenya's best-known freedom fighters. The king's assertion on day 1 of the visit that there could be no excuse for the wrongdoings of the past fell short of many Kenyans' expectations.
His expression of regret, without apologizing, means he's still holding back. His government tortured us. What would make me even happier in my old age is the return of the land that they took. I may not be able to benefit from it, but my descendants will be proud of our struggle.
During the Mau Mau uprising in central Kenya, some 90,000 Kenyans were killed or maimed, according to the Kenyan Human Rights Commission. It was one of the British Empire's bloodiest conflicts.
And among those intently listening to yesterday's King's speech were the Mau Mau veterans Corinne was talking about. In the 1950s, more than 10,000 people were killed and others tortured during the brutal suppression of the Mau Mau uprising. But with King Charles expressing regret, some feel that that wasn't enough. Olivier Bizot has been following the story.
For the first time in history, a member of the British royal family has acknowledged the more painful aspects of the shared history between Kenya and the UK. During the Mau Mau rebellion, more than 10,000 people were killed, and it's often seen as one of the most brutal episodes of Britain's imperial past. But for the Mau Mau, King Charles' acknowledgement of these colonial injustices is not enough. Earlier, I spoke to the daughter of a Mau Mau fighter, and she told me that she wants an apology and she wants to meet the king.
We just don't want him to visit, give a speech and leave, and nothing happens. So let him make an effort and meet us, the children of Mau Mau. By just saying that you acknowledge the painful past, the painful ties, and the painful past of those Mau Mau veterans, those who fought for the freedom of this country, is not enough.
Meanwhile, in Nanyuki, people want an apology for the damages caused there by the British Army. Earlier on Wednesday, the German president apologised for colonial injustices in Tanzania, and Kenyans are saying that the king should follow this example.
Today, breakdance is recognized as an Olympic sport and will feature in the Paris 2024 Games. Many enthusiasts in Kenya are attracting younger generations for this urban dance popular in the 80s. But the country won't make it to the next Olympics because some say a lack of support. Laura Dubiazo.
Athletic, robotic and acrobatic, breakdance, one of the street symbols of New York in the 70s and 80s, is still popular today. Sushi Africa was introduced to breakdancing 10 years ago. He credits this dance for taking him off the streets and giving him a sense of direction.
It was the first time I had seen it. Before that, I had only seen breaking in movies. So it was for me, it was very appealing to the eye to see like some of the crazy moves these people are doing.
Breakdance is now recognized at the Olympics. It will feature at the Paris 2024 Games, but Kenya will not be represented because of lack of support.
There's a big failure to support not just breaking, but I think all art forms, across the board. I think there's a big failure. At the moment, breaking or breakdancing is in the Olympics. And, that would have been a very nice spot, for government to come in and start supporting the local breakdancing scene. But unfortunately, we do not have a dance sport federation, which is what is required.
Despite the low number of federations on the continent, Sushi Africa still hopes to inspire an entire generation.
Right now, there is hope. Back then we used to do it, it wasn't that serious, but since breaking has been recognized in the Olympics, now a lot of people have hope It's something they can do and participate in the Olympics. It's something that can bring money into their pockets. It's something that they can build or add into their careers. For now, I can say breaking it's going somewhere. We're heading somewhere.
And for Zushi Africa and other dancers, somewhere might be on the road to an Olympic podium.
And now we leave you with this extraordinary story of an African mask. A second-hand dealer in France has appeared in court on Tuesday accused of deceiving a pensioner couple by paying €150 for it. The mask was actually a rare 19th century G mask made by the Fang people of Gabon. So, you've guessed it, it was resold for €4,200,000. The couple wants the sale, obviously, to be cancelled. And now the Gabonese government says the mask was stolen in the first place and should be returned home. Well, I'll leave you calculate the big markup. That's it for this edition. Thank you for watching Eye on Africa.